There was a time when I was one of the most hated guys in the wrestling business.
No.
Whoa, what are you doing, man? I'm like, we're fighting. He's like, no, you came too close to me. I'm like, I'm not going to touch you. Nicole Snailman has it all figured out.
Hair flowing, looking like.
You're speaking of hair flowing, look at you.
Dude, I blew it out for you, man.
It looks good, man.
Thanks, dude. You look great.
Well, thanks, dude. I was expecting a little bit more of a layer type of a thing.
We do normally have our Goblin layer.
Yeah, I heard.
But I said, Chris Jericho's coming on my podcast. I want a new studio.
Yeah.
I want state-of-the-art.
Right.
I want more cameras, more lights. I want to
Yeah.
be able to see him. The old studio, if you walked outside, it kind of looks like the aftermath of a hardcore match, honestly.
Gotcha, yeah.
All the same things. Barbed wire, blood, needles, glass.
Derelicts wandering around, dazed and confused. Yeah.
Sandman walking around with a beard.
Yeah.
It's all the same stuff.
Right,
dude.
right. It's all very similar.
Yeah, so I wanted to give you a different feel because now Chris Jericho is entering this other part of his career where he's like a movie star. He's a TV star. I see you all the time now, Deadline, left and right, and they're like, Chris Jericho's in this thing. He's doing this thing. Tell me about what you've been doing lately, Chris.
Well, it's been a few months since we saw each other.
Yeah,
Which
catch up.
In Goblin time is like, what, 500 years or something, maybe?
No, it's like the opposite.
Oh, like
because
5
I've been around for so long.
It's like
honestly, it's like
10 minutes.
I just woke up.
So you're like a dog. When you leave the house and come back, apparently they say a dog, it's like only feels like a few seconds, even if it's been like 5 hours.
Yeah, and that's why when you came in the room, I was like, Chris,
I noticed that.
Yeah.
And if you were my dog, I would take you for a nail clipping at this point. Yeah.
And I would yelp.
Well, yeah, but you don't want to cut the quick.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I learned.
Okay.
Which is where you start bleeding.
Yeah.
A little scientific stuff.
If I'm going to
there.
cut these, I demand just like a couple
shots.
Tequila. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So, well, I mean, wrestling is acting in a lot of ways. You're playing a character.
Really?
So, yeah, you are. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. You turn up the volume, like when you're on stage. And
For your entrance music, too. You want it to be very loud.
You want it to be loud.
Yeah.
So you turn up the volume of your personality. So you're playing a character. You're on screen, larger than life, you might say.
Oh,
right?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be comfortable with that.
Well, no. I mean,
No.
Very subdued.
I'm who I am here, off camera, and right now.
Right.
This is who I am.
You are what you are.
I am what I am, and I am what I eat.
Right, which is
green.
spinach, which is green.
Yeah, green, yeah.
So I see the connection there. So people say, how long have you been acting for? I've been acting since the day I first started getting into wrestling, basically.
I wonder about that, because a lot of wrestlers, they say, make the transition into acting.
Yes.
Does that kind of rub you? Because it is, in a way, it's like,
well,
some of you have created characters that have outlasted the majority of characters.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I always say, like, the top level wrestlers, like the ones who were main eventers for years and years and years, you are in show business boot camp. You're learning a little bit of everything: drama, behind the scenes, live, comedy, action, all of that sort of stuff. So when you can survive at the highest of level in wrestling, you're already halfway there. So yeah, you're not portraying a character so much as you're learning about how to act within this world of wrestling. You can act within any world where there's a character to play. So it's not that much of it, like you said, making the transition to acting. It doesn't rub me the wrong way, but it's someone who's not quite understanding what it takes to become a top name in the wrestling business.
Now, what if your wrestling character doesn't ever talk, and then they cast you in a movie?
Right.
Because you don't want to break, what's it called, Mary Kay?
Kayfabe.
Kayfabe. Yeah, what's her name? Kayfabe. I've not met her yet.
No, well, yeah, she's around.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't want to mess with her.
No, or anyone named Kay for
Yeah,
that. Because that's from a certain generation where you don't want to mess with anyone named Kay.
Do not cross that line, bud.
Mildred. Muriel.
Get out of here, Mildred.
Betty. I mean, you don't see a lot of those anymore.
Yeah, Marlene.
Yeah.
Marlene?
Ethel.
Ethel.
Stay the F away from Ethel. Anytime.
Stay the F away. You know what I mean?
away. Exactly. Oh my God, that's a good one.
Oh my God. Yeah. So Chris, because like you are, as you said, turning up your personality.
Yes.
Which I agree and I disagree because I don't want to like mess with Kay again or whatever.
Right.
But like,
She's not around.
I don't want to like blow your cover,
Okay.
but like off camera, you're kind of like a really cool guy and very nice. But I've seen you on some wrestling match, like really be mean to people. You cheat. I've seen you cheat
I
before,
have.
Chris. Don't say you haven't.
Well, I'm guilty as charged.
Yeah.
Because there's television evidence of it.
That's right.
You can see it.
That's right.
Unless you're actually at the wrestling show,
Right.
then no referee can see the cheating that
Oh,
happened.
and
But we can see it now.
I don't like when that happens.
Well, I mean-
I don't like when the one of them's yapping to the ref, distract him, and then their tag team partner
Right.
comes.
Hit
He
him with
does some
a
dirty stuff.
Spike or something. Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't like it.
So, but that's kind of how it goes, right? So,
Yeah.
we were talking about how do we get into the
You were talking about like what if a character in wrestling?
Oh,
they're
doesn't-
like the Undertaker.
well, so the Undertaker was in Suburban Commando, a Hulk Hogan joint.
One of my favorite films of all time, and he barely talks.
But he does when he talks, he has a super high like
that's
Mike
right.
Tyson voice,
That's
right?
right. That's
so I
right.
think that was the gag there. 'Cause
Yes.
if you notice, like Undertaker when he was in the business, as a performing wrestler, never did interviews, like podcasts or anything like that. And then now that he's out of the business, he's
on
doing
Kill Tony.
Kill Tony. He's doing all. He's always been a very funny.
I didn't think his
personable.
minute was great, but he's got room
He's got
to
his own podcast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's talking all the time.
Yeah.
He's got so many great stories to tell, but he can never tell them when he was actually in the business wrestling because the Undertaker shouldn't be talking. So you have to protect your
Okay.
character, right? If your character is a loud, boisterous, obnoxious guy like Chris Jericho is, well, that's all I have to do. And when you say backstage or off screen, I'm a nicer guy. Well, sure. But there was a time when I was one of the most hated guys in the wrestling business.
No.
When people would attack me on the streets.
What do you mean?
They would attack me on the streets. I got attacked in Victoria, BC once by a crowd of angry fans. Ended up on Nancy Grace. She wanted me hung, drawn, and quartered, Nancy did.
That's another. I mean, you can put Nancy up there with Kay, Ethel.
Yeah, Nancy,
I mean,
yeah. But
tell me.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, so people were attacking me on the streets, and they would meet me afterwards and go, "Wow, I thought you were such an asshole, but you're not." I'm like, "Well, Anthony Hopkins doesn't walk down the street eating people's livers with a fine Chianti either. He's just playing a character of Hannibal Lecter
Wait,
that eats
really?
livers. Well, it's not an actual. He's playing. He's
I
playing
thought it
the
was
part.
a documentary.
Well, there's an actual Hannibal Lecter, of course, but Anthony Hopkins is just playing Hannibal Lecter.
Oh, well, he's good, man, because
He's really
I
good.
was terrified.
Me too. But he's not really eating livers, is my point. And I wasn't really the asshole that I was portraying
Oh,
myself
so
to
then
be.
is that, Chris, the ultimate compliment? As they're whooping your ass and they're
Yes.
stomping on you and a whole gang of people are treading on you and you're just
Yes.
trying to get some food, do you actually think, oh, God, wait, I guess I'm kind of Daniel Day-Lewis.
Well, yeah, in wrestling, when you're a bad guy and you get booed,
Yeah?
those are your versions of getting cheered. Because it's very hard to get people to like you. It's much easier to get them to hate you, but here's the secret. Once they start hating you, it's hard to get them to continue to hate you because then they start to like you because the bad guys are always so much more delicious, shall we say. And I'll use Hannibal Lecter as an example, or the Joker, or the Terminator, or Freddy Krueger. We end up liking these guys.
Yeah, we idolize them.
Because they're so entertaining, when at first you were terrified of them. Think of the Terminator in the first Terminator,
Yeah.
and then in the second Terminator. There is nothing more terrifying than the first Terminator, and nothing more like, hey, let's go, hasta la vista, baby. Like it's a fun character. I'll be back in the second one means something more than I'll be back in the first one. So that's kind of an example of how hard it is to stay hated when you're an entertaining bad guy.
Also crazy to see how a robot can actually age by Terminator 4 and look like an old man.
Yeah, which his oil wasn't changed apparently. That's what I've
And
heard.
here the thing is, I hear what you're saying. And up until this moment, I've been like, it is so hard to not be a fan of someone for so long.
Yeah.
Which I just want to commend you for because I'm still absolutely not a fan. And yet, it's been so long. I mean, I'm working with this guy for over like a year and a half, and I still don't like him.
Do you still
it's like,
do you know his name?
What's that?
Do you know his name?
I mean, what is it?
Johannes.
Johannes.
No.
He's Italian.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Johannes is one of the famous Italian
Yes.
names.
Right?
Yeah, for
No,
sure.
still from Sweden. Always from Sweden.
Still from Sweden.
Oh,
Right.
the Sweden, the Italian district of Sweden.
Yeah, that's
probably,
right.
There's a big Italian
Mamma
population.
Mia, which was written by ABBA,
ABBA.
who is
Swedish.
Thank you.
Done. Big
Thank you.
Italian population in Gothenburg.
Yep.
If you haven't
it's
been to
just-
Little Italy, Johannes, in Gothenburg, go check it out.
Oh, I wish you would go
I think
check
it's just
it out.
one shelf at IKEA.
So, Chris, you were like out of the ring, quote unquote, out of character, just trying to live your life, and people are screaming things at you. Do you
Yeah.
tell them like, hey, man, this is just, or do you lead in?
Well-
What do you do?
Well, I mean, the times where it happens outside the ring is very strange. Like inside the ring, we've had fans run inside the ring a couple times, trying to attack you that way.
That doesn't end well, I
It
imagine.
never ends well. It's a dumb idea. You're in the ring. They have to get in the ring at some point.
Yeah.
And that's when you can get them because most
Yeah.
fans don't know how to get into a ring.
That is-
They slide under the ring. You kick them in the head.
I gotta be honest.
You win.
My first time in the ring,
Right.
we're at Chicago Riot Fest, okay? And they go, okay, here's what you're gonna do, John. You slide into the ring,
Yes. Hair.
hump.
Caught.
Hump just went, "Grr,"
Yeah.
bottom rope. Grr. I was like, they make it look, when the dude like slides in the ring and goes all the way across, that's like a skill, man. I couldn't figure out how to get it. And then once I got in, I had to get big Tom Latimer to carry me out of it.
What you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
No one knows how to do this. Like when we just did a show called Margot's Got Money Troubles, and it's going to be on Apple TV.
Okay.
It's starring Nick Offerman, Elle Fanning, and Nicole Kidman is in it. It's got a wrestling background involved. It's about this girl whose mom was a Hooters waitress and her dad was a wrestler, and she becomes an OnlyFans creator and uses her dad's advice on how to create a character.
Okay.
So we were doing a scene where Nick Offerman plays the dad. I'm playing myself. We're kind of at a wrestling convention. He's going to come in the ring and wrestle with us. And then Nicole Kidman, who is an ex-wrestler, is going to get into the ring and wrestle with us as well. Do
Okay.
the scene. In real life, when she shows up, and she was like wonderfully divatastic, like in the best possible way. Like she's
Yeah.
Nicole Kidman, and she's very
One of the biggest stars in the world.
yes, and she comes in with an entourage,
Yeah.
and she's cordial, but not
Yeah.
overly like super friendly, but still nice.
Yeah.
And it's like this is what you would expect her to be like. I'm down with this, and this was the best part. She's gonna get in the ring. And they're showing her this is how you get in the ring. You like Stacy Keibler style, Legos and things. She's like, how do we do it? And she's like, nah, I'm not going to do that. Get the stunt person to do it. So the stunt person comes in, action, gets in the ring, cut. I'm like, that's when you know you've made it. When you don't even have to get in the ring yourself. You get somebody to do that work for you. Like that's showbiz.
That's A-list. You know what I mean?
That A+ list.
And that's when you're like, don't you wish you had that in life? You know what I mean?
Right.
You're at line at the coffee shop
Yeah.
and you're like, this line is insane. I
Yeah.
can just go wait here all day. Hey, Jimmy!
Yeah.
Bring it in.
Johannes.
Yeah, Johannes, get in here, please.
Wait in line.
Yeah, you deal with them.
Yeah.
And then like people are yelling at him and you're like,
Then when it's your turn, number 12, and then
Yeah.
you grab the number and say, I would like a double latte, cafe,
Yep.
matcha,
Send it
whatever.
back
yeah.
in.
Yeah, there you go. That's
Yep.
I mean, don't they kind of have those commercials where they're doing that now of like State Farm or something where the guy's messing up his date and then an actual quarterback will come in and take over for him.
Yes.
We need that in our real lives.
yes. But I do love that because I've also heard stories of like people I've interviewed that like one of their first big jobs was like like with Jack Nicholson or something, and they're like, oh my God, I'm gonna do a scene with them. And then Jack does his coverage and they're like, oh, it's my turn next.
Yeah.
And then they're like, cut. And he's like, I'll be in my trailer. And they put like a piece of tape.
Yeah,
And they're
yeah.
like, that's Jack.
Yeah.
Go for it. And then they're like, wait a minute. And you're like, but think about it.
That's what a stand-in does.
Yeah, but
Right.
think about it.
Yeah.
Like you're the biggest star ever.
You're over it. You're like when you first start out, you're like, I want to be involved.
Yeah.
Like I was just on a show called Tracker the other day, and I remember I'm watching the scenes back. And I was standing right behind the camera watching that and just learning, because I've done a dozen projects, 24 projects. When you've done like 200 projects, the last thing you want to do is stand around and watch the scene that you're not in.
Yeah.
It's fun at first. After a while, you're probably like, no, I'm not doing
I
this.
don't need to watch it.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and think about it this way. If Nicole Kidman on this set, they yell action, she walks in, she fumbles with the ropes and falls on her face, that's going to make news.
Yes.
And TMZ is going to be like, duh, duh, duh. The guy with only a receding hairline and his little coffee cup's going to be like, Nicole Kidman fell on her face. Let's watch it 7 times and laugh at her.
Yeah.
She don't need that.
That's right.
She don't need that.
No, you don't need that.
And she's giving stunt person a job. I bet stunt person was like, yes.
Yeah, I'll do it.
I've always wanted to get in a wrestling
Yes.
ring. And now I'm here with Chris Jericho. And they're having a time.
Yeah, they're getting in. And that you're providing work for everybody.
Yeah,
I like
so
that.
I'm going to look into that.
Okay.
Johannes, make a note to Siri that I need to hire a stunt double.
And the thing is, it's going to be fairly probably, you're going to have to go to the Goblin population, Goblin Town.
Oh, yeah.
And you'll give another Goblin a job,
See,
which is a great way to be.
I'm no gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready to let one. I'll let one in.
Well, there's going to have to be, because you can't just have, anybody standing in for you, because the stand-in kind of has to look like you in a way. Unless they put on a mask or something, as if that would ever work. We don't need that.
No. Well, we could paint Danny DeVito green and see if he'll get it.
He could do it. Yeah, he could add some ears.
That's a hell of a read. Oh, hello there, Texas. We're just a little over a week away from Moon Tower, and you could be the very first humans to bear witness to the world's first one gob show. Goblin. You see the little accent thingy over the I? That's how you know that shit's gonna be artsy. I'm gonna finally tell my whole story. I mean, the Reseda days, before the Reseda days. So it's gonna be me on stage for 45 to, 50 minutes, depending on the laughs. You'll probably be. And if you're thinking, oh, I want a drink before I see this goblin spill his guts, you're in luck. 5 p.m. that day, we're doing the Goblin Happy Hour again with Moon Tower at Higbee's. So come meet me, come get a drink. Later that night at the Creek in the Cave, see the One Gob Show. You'll live, you'll laugh, you'll love, you will be Goblin. I don't know what that means exactly, Johannes, but these fucking artsy people, they just say something provocative oh, Goblin, and then everyone else in the comments will be what does it mean to be Goblin? And they'll probably just buy a ticket then. I do want to ask you about this, Chris, because I came on your podcast and we had so much fun.
It was amazing.
But a lot of people were messaging me and they're like, dude, you're messing up a bunch of wrestling terms, John. I don't think you understand the wrestling biz. So I was like, let me just get it from the source.
Okay.
And
I remember this. There were some mistakes.
Right now, I wanted to ask Chris Jericho.
Okay.
Y2J. I wanted to ask him about some wrestling terms, and maybe you can walk me through.
Sure, I'll do my best.
Actually.
I know a lot of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so we covered Kay and what's her name. What is a work? Because to me, all this is work. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, if you're getting paid, it's work.
That's what I think.
So a work versus a shoot. And I came in the business in 1990. And if I ever explained that on national, universal, galaxinial TV,
You'd be done.
I'd be out. I'd never be able to work. But now I'm kind of, a grandfathered in. I can say what I want. Well, actually, everyone says what they want, right? There's still guys back from the early 90s that won't say a word. Arn Anderson's not going to tell you the difference between a work and a shoot. But Chris Jericho will walk you through it. So a work is when you're working with each other. Okay, so we're if I'm going to put you in a headlock, we're moving together. We're mutually working with each other to create the best match possible. Okay, a shoot would be if we don't want to work together. I'm going to get a little rough with you. You're going to get a little rough with me, and you can start to get in a little bit of a scuffle. You're not cooperating. Back in the day, you might get in a fight in the ring. You probably won't do that now. But it's not going to turn out well because now you're shooting with each other, which means it's not going the way you want it to go, working with each other.
Well, now I do see why the transition into film would be tough, because they're like, "Hey, Chris, I know you just got done with your wrestling match, but guess what? Congratulations, you booked something on Monday. You're going to be in a shoot, and it's going to be work.
And I show up ready to go.
And then you're beating up the actor, and they're like, Chris, no. And you're like, is this not a shoot? They're like, it is a shoot. You keep doing it, and then you're like,
you're off the project.
Work?
But the funny thing is, though, it's the very first action sequence I did was way back in a movie called Android Apocalypse which was a Sci-Fi Channel movie.
Okay.
Starring Joseph, not Joey, Lawrence. And the fight scene in wrestling, obviously, you get as close as you can with a punch. You know, you're or even sometimes just touching. There's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What are you doing, man? I'm like, we're fighting. He's like, no, you came too close to me. I'm like, I'm not going to touch you. Didn't want to have it because obviously stunt shooting, you're hitting like here, but the angle from behind looks like you're coming across. So you had to learn that. In like wrestling, you want to come as close as you can. In filming, you want to stay as far away and catch the angles.
Yeah.
So you learn that. So you're kind of shooting. You're working, but they think you're shooting, even though it's on a shoot. So it gets kind of like down a rabbit hole there with the terms.
Yeah. I could see how that could be a little confusing. And then this one you tried to explain to me, but people are still calling me in the comments.
Okay.
They call me Mark, but
Right.
I'm John.
John. Yeah.
Goblikon.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And they keep saying that, and then every time they're saying all these things, and they're saying all these insider scoops, and I'm like, I don't care. Wrestling is real to me. I believe every storyline with 100% certainty.
Sure. Well, I mean, a lot of it could be from the disciples, the books of the Bible, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Oh, does it go? It goes. So this goes back all the way to those guys.
To biblical times. Apparently, Jesus actually had a couple matches. You know that you've heard that Abraham Lincoln had some pro wrestling matches. The word on the street could be Jesus could have had some too.
Well, he had the barbed wire. I mean, he was like a hardcore wrestler before it was a thing.
The Shroud of Turin.
Yes.
Where do you think the blood came from?
Oh my God.
See?
This is why we got Chris, man.
Revolutionary things.
This is why we got.
Yeah. So if your name is John,
Yes.
back in those days, you could also be referred to as Matthew, Luke, or Mark.
Mark. Oh,
That's where it all came from.
that solves that.
Yeah. So that solves that one.
And how about this one? Because, like, you look at Johannes and you're like, that is whatever the opposite of a baby face is. Like, that's like a face that has seen a lot of darkness. And you,
Yes.
even after all your years, you have like a baby face.
Well, thank you.
But when I say Chris Jericho is known for having a baby face, the commenters are like, no, he's not. Look at
Right.
his heel or something like that. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm
Right.
going to the podiatrist. Like, so what does that mean to you, Chris?
Well, have you heard the song Babyface? You've got the cutest little baby face.
Yeah.
That was actually recorded by Vince McMahon Sr. in 1942.
Now that makes sense.
And that's why that kind of all transcended the generations.
yes, I
into
feel like
Babyface.
I have a little bit of a Vince McMahon voice now.
A little bit. Yeah. Here's a little bit of trivia for you.
Okay.
Since we're talking about baby
Sure.
faces. You know what they call a baby face in England?
They call it
Baby face.
a baby lift or something like that. A baby trousers. You
No,
know,
blue eye.
blue eye.
A blue eye.
Really?
I guess because if you have blue eyes, you're a nicer person, apparently. So
Sounds
that's what
about
that would be the nomenclature for a baby face in England, especially like in the earlier days, 70s, 80s, 90s. They would say blue eye.
Yeah.
So you were learning stuff here.
I like that. And what I do like about what you were saying earlier is about, like, people the audience perceive as bad guys and create these characters and eventually they become good. In 2026, do you feel like those lines are more blurred? Or
I think so. Like, I think that all kind of started in the 90s with Stone Cold Steve Austin, where he was swearing and drinking beer and giving the finger, and that made him the biggest baby face on the planet. Whereas 5 years prior doing that, or 2 years prior, would make you a big heel. And if a guy like me, when I started in WCW, long blonde hair, good looking guy, 2 years prior, that would make you an instant babyface. But at that point in time, you were almost a heel because I was like, look at this guy. Can't take him seriously.
Yeah.
So now we're fast forwarding 30 years. I think the blurriness has gone completely. I think it's probably less cool to be a good guy now than it was then, unless you have a real edge to you. You know what I mean? Like a real kind of asshole-ish tendencies. I mean, you can't go out there now as come on, I'm going to give it 10%, 100%, 110% and do it for these fans. You can't say that because fans will boo you.
so in your mind, put on I'm going back to create a match cap.
Right.
Okay, what is it called? The booker or the
Yeah, the booker. Yeah.
booker? You're the booker.
Right. Because
You're-
they usually work in libraries.
You're Booker C.
Okay.
And
That's nice.
yeah, it's got a ring to it. There
does.
could be a
It
wrestler,
does.
Booker C or something.
Yeah.
Maybe learn to break dance or something.
Well, not me.
And so you're Booker C, and you're booking a match, And you are going to create the ultimate good guy and the ultimate bad guy. The ultimate babyface, the ultimate heel in 2026. What direction would you go for each?
I mean, it's a good question. You can't really.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
I feel like I'm on the Eric Andre show.
And then your seat blows up.
Yes, exactly. That's happened to me before. I think that it's hard to really say, like, here's what the ultimate baby face would be.
Yeah.
And, because if you knew that, you could create it, in a lab and just make it happen. It's very organic, and you just never know what people are going to get into.
Yep.
And what they're not going to get into.
Oh, don't I know?
Brian Pillman told me years and years and years ago, if you want to make it in wrestling, aka show business, you got to do something different that's never been done before. That's harder and harder to do. But if you can figure that out, then you have something special. And it all goes back to this, John. You have to connect with the audience. If you can connect with the audience, whatever way, shape, or form that might be, they will always want to watch you. Whether they love you or hate you, whatever it may be. It goes for acting, it goes for rock and roll, it goes for wrestling, comedians. If you can connect with your crowd, you'll always have a gig. Now, that's the secret. How do you do that? I don't know. That's up to you.
I'm fully inspired.
I'm just dropping pearls now, man.
Good gravy. I think we just need to create a wrestling promotion again, have Chris be the head of it again.
Booker C.
Booker C, man.
Yeah.
Booker C.
All we need is you need money for that, but I'm assuming with your lineage with the Goblin tribes.
We have none. It's
okay.
It's bone dry.
I thought you might have found like pots of gold and
bone dry, dude.
Nothing. Okay.
Barking up the wrong tree. Oh, great joke, Chris Jericho. Anyways, I forgot earlier in the show when I interrupted the first time and talking about Moon Tower to tell you also next Saturday, 5:45 p.m. at the Creek in the Cave again. We're going to be doing a live recording of this podcast with two very special guests. So I cannot stress enough. Do not wait to get your tickets. Get them right now, because when I announce the special guest, they're going to be like, buy tickets. Everyone's going to be like, oh my God, John, like I would do anything to see these two people with you again. And so, trust me, okay? It's going to be fun. My guests are always the best at my live shows. Get your tickets and we'll announce them soon. As they say in Austin, what's their slogan, Johannes? Keep it weird. Well, nailed it. We're talking about some wrestling terms. One of the ones I was going to ask you about is pop.
Pop.
When they say a pop,
Right.
that is referring to my ACL when I try and get in the wrestling ring, correct?
That's why you need a stuntman to get in the ring. That's what Nicole knew that.
Yeah.
It refers to, when you eat a bowl of Rice Krispies.
Yeah.
Snap, crackle, pop. And the pop is the sound.
Yes.
That's what it means. When you go to the wrestling, when you're a wrestler, you come in the ring, there's a sound.
Yes.
Snap, crackle, pop.
Well, I wanted to talk about that because I think, and the internet seems to think, and I agree with them only on this, that one of the biggest pops in wrestling history belongs to you. When you went to the WWE and boom, on the Jumbotron.
Yes.
It's got all the numbers. It's got a countdown. Everyone's going, what's going on?
Right.
Your music kicks and the entire arena. I mean, how many people are in an arena, just for like reference?
There's probably, I'd say 14,000 probably.
14,000
like
people, right?
Yeah.
What do you feel like backstage?
Well, at that point in time, it was completely nervousness.
Yeah.
Because I had come through the scene, Canada to Mexico to Germany to Japan, and then...
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit them all.
All. Smoky Mountain Wrestling, ECW, WCW, and then 9 years in, I'm making my WWF debut, which is all I ever wanted. That's where I wanted to go. When I was in high school and got into wrestling, it's like WWF was the place.
Yeah.
It's the place to be. It's now the WWE. So I had finally got to that point, but I also knew that, like, listen, all this work that I'd done, all these main events that I've had around the world, they didn't really mean anything. When you get to the WWE, you got to start over and impress. You got to impress Vince and impress this new fan base and all of these big time names that were in WWE at the time. So I came up with the idea of the countdown clock because I was at a post office at the time because I used to have a PO box where I would sign 8x10s and mail them back to people at my own expense. I was just trying to create a fan base.
Sure.
So I was in the post office with my pile of 8x10s with the self-addressed stamped envelopes. And there was a countdown. It said countdown to the millennium. And it was like, whatever it was, 5 months, 4 days, 3 hours, 22 seconds, 21 seconds. And I was like, wow, that'd be a really cool way for somebody to come into the WWE. And I was like, well, that'd be a cool way for me to come into the WWE. So I suggested that to the writer who suggested it to Vince. And Vince really liked the idea of this countdown. So we started the countdown clock about a month before I arrived, and the genius of it was that Vince had the idea for the countdown to hit 0 right in the middle of The Rock's promo, who was the biggest star at the time. My idea was just like it hits 0 and today's the day and here he comes. Hi. So that was kind of like the perfect example to bring somebody in at the highest of levels. And I didn't have a match with The Rock that night or even that week or month. Maybe a couple months later I had a match with him. It wasn't even about that. It was how can you bring somebody in at the highest of levels, have a good idea with the countdown clock, have a great place for it to end, and have it end in the middle of the biggest star in the company's interview. It was great. And that was when I was really nervous because I knew when you go through there, you got to hit a home run. You got to hit a home run. Out of the gate, you have to. And watching it back, first of all, it was amazing because I feel half the crowd knew I was going to be there already. And there was no internet back then. There was just word of mouth. And the other half, when they heard the reaction, was like, oh, what's this all about? Yay! So everyone was going crazy for it. And I watch it back, and I'm kind of really over-animated Popeye face, like... And I know I heard... through the grapevine that Vince thought that I didn't do a great job. Everyone else thinks it's one of the greatest debuts of all time. And in history it is. But at the time when you watch it back, there's a lot of overacting, scenery chewing, because I didn't know any better. I came from WCW when I had Ralphus. For, there was just anything I could do to be entertaining or get a laugh or whatever it was. I didn't realize that I was now in the big leagues where you got to play it straight. And that was when I first started learning how to really make it as a top name in the wrestling business.
And first off, I would love to be a fly on the wall at the post office. And there's just some post guy like putting all the envelopes in. He's like, oh, you got wrestling on? Okay, yeah, who's debuting? Oh, that's a cool countdown. Wait a minute. Do we do this? Is this our count? It's the same numbers.
Well, I'm assuming that there was different countdown clocks in different post offices around the country. If there was not, then the post office in Clearwater, Florida was Shout out to the Clearwater, Florida post office for the amazing idea of the countdown clock.
But also, like, that's got to be so tough that, like, one of your biggest moments, the, like, boss man is like, that could have been better. I mean, if that isn't disapproving dad.
Yeah. But that's the thing though too, John, is that you don't know about kind of the politics of wrestling. And when I say you, I mean me. Like I kind of knew a little bit of the politics, and I mean WCW was a lot of politics, but I wasn't even close to being in that top tier. WWE was a different level of politics. This was like direct, stabbing you in the back to try and make sure you don't get ahead. It was just the way the business was back then. And Vince knew how to play that against each other. If you look at the whole Shawn and Brett feud or those sorts of things, he's playing them against each other.
The great Montreal screwdriver.
Yeah, but playing them, that kind of went over the top, but playing guys against each other to get better reactions and more intensity and creating kind of a little bit of legit dislike. Not that you would ever get into a shoot in the ring.
I was just going to say, maybe he was
But you'd be a little bit more like, F this guy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to do that for him. Dude. And that did kind of create like some professional electricity, but a lot of animosity as well.
Yeah. And what I was going to say as like, now that I'm like a big, like, kissed into the wrestling industry and I'm just one of you. I was going to say, like, what it reminds me of, like, this guy, like, had a gimmick and was just trying to get a pop while keeping, Kayfabe, and they were trying to work.
Right.
But it ended up being a shoot, and all the marks were getting color and on their baby face, and it was heating up. And then it was always like, oh, my heel,
Right.
And then the whole thing just kind of became a
Asabida.
oh, yes.
So you
That's
got-
what you took the words right out of my mouth.
You just
Chris.
literally nailed it. Anybody that's looking, create a clip of that, and you could just put pro wrestling inner vernacular glossary.
Yes.
Worst freestyle rap ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Chris, I also want to talk about the music and the transition to music because I'm in a band, I'm doing comedy, I'm in these two worlds, and to me, they're very, very similar. Of
course, yeah.
And I'm listening to you talk about wrestling, and the wrestling industry, I'm like, sounds like being in a band,
Yeah.
sounds like the music
Yeah.
industry. So at what point were you like, this is something I've always wanted to do, now's the right time?
Yeah, well, I was in bands when I was in high school.
Yeah.
I was playing in bands when I was 14 years old. First band was called Primitive Means. Then the second band I was in, which was our high school band, was called Scimitar, the curved sword that Sinbad the Sailor uses.
What kind of music?
It was heavy metal. Like,
Yeah.
we were a 3-piece band, but we played mostly Metallica and Iron Maiden, who are 2 guitar bands, but it didn't matter at the time. You just played with what you could play, right?
You can only do the one part of the
Yeah.
Metallica
That was
song.
I was the bass player, so I was okay.
Okay, yeah.
Playing with my fingers like Cliff Burton and Steve Harris. And I remember we were always rehearsing, jamming, we called it, in my friend's basement, my friend's parents' basement. And then we started to play, parties and that sort of thing. Well, when you go to these parties, a lot of the girls don't just want to hear, Seek and Destroy and the Four Horsemen and Caught Somewhere in Time and Number the Beast.
Yeah. Try playing Goblin metal for them. You know what I mean, pal?
I remember one time I
They
was
ain't
like,
exactly showing up in droves.
yeah,
You know?
don't you know anything that we can dance to or whatever they
Yeah.
said? And so we had to learn Talk Dirty to Me by Poison and Long Way to Love by Brittany Fox. And I remember just like, these songs are terrible, but we have to play them because if we don't, then the girls don't want to watch our band. And then also we would not have any singing because it's very hard to play those songs and sing. And I remember we used to rehearse You Really Got Me, and we had the garage door open during the summer. We rehearsed, and these girls would walk home from school every day. We'd get home early, and I remember the one day they finally went, "Don't you know another song? And doesn't anybody sing?" And I was like, well, fuck, I guess I'll sing.
Yeah,
so
you're like,
that's
wait,
where-
hold on. Ladies like a singer.
Yeah, singer. Ladies like a singer and music they can dance to.
You start doing your vocal warm-ups. You're like, yeah, all right, I'm ready.
So then I remember we would record everything. So then I'm down on my knees playing bass and singing into the boombox. So that's kind of how I started playing in bands, and then always continued to play. Then got into wrestling and still dabbled in music, but didn't really focus on it much. And then about 98 or so, I was like, I really want to start a band and get going. And that's kind of what was the genesis of where Fozzy started.
And from the get, you're like, just to be clear, I will be singing.
Well, yeah, because at that point, it's like my bass playing skills were amazing when I was 17.
Yeah.
And then they just stopped. So, I'm not, because then you got the Flea stuff's going on. You got Dream Theater stuff and Rush stuff. But I was really good at those first 3 Metallica records and the first 4 or 5 Maiden records. I can play most of the stuff from those albums to this day and nothing else.
Yeah.
So I just said I will concentrate on the singing aspect of things.
You have to be in the most successful band to ever come from the wrestling world.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about
There's
it.
not even close, right?
Yeah, and
why do you think that is?
Well, because perseverance, for one. For
Okay.
2, we had to work twice as hard to get people's respect because I was in the band. How can a wrestler possibly sing? How can a goblin possibly do comedy? Like, people have a very closed-minded
they
view.
really do.
Can't
And
do
the jury is still out, but we'll get them.
Yeah.
We'll get them.
So we just ignored it. We when we first started, I think people expected us to sing songs about body slams and suplexes and perform in a ring.
Why would they want that?
I'm going to be drop kicking people during the show, and it's
Right.
like, we don't do that. We don't combine the two because you can't. Because then it's just a novelty. You know what I mean?
How much of the Fozzy fan base are wrestling fans? How much overlaps in the Venn diagram? Or have they really become these two things? Because I have found with my band Nekrogoblikon and the podcast and the comedy stuff, there's definitely overlay. But ideally they both kind of grow as their own unique things. And it's okay if you love Nekrogoblikon and aren't into the podcast or vice versa.
Yeah.
Right?
It's not as much of a divisive thing. Not that it ever was, but I think at first there was a lot of people coming to check out the band just because it's Chris Jericho. And they don't know any of these songs that we're playing.
Yeah.
There's probably the majority are both. And more Jericho fans and Fozzy fans. And there's a whole contingency that's just Fozzy. Doesn't care about wrestling, could care less either way. And when I started using Judas as my theme song in AEW a few years ago, that's when Judas started really becoming a hit. It was already a hit out of the gates for whatever reason. And once again, it's like we said, you don't know what's going to hit or why. Judas, I remember thinking, I hope it gets 3 million YouTube views like over the course of my lifetime. It had 1 million in 1 week. And it was like, how did that even happen? You know, you go to a Tampa Bay Bucks game and they're playing Judas, or the Minnesota Vikings, or Columbus Blue Jackets play Judas every game. How does that happen? I don't know. It doesn't matter. It happened. Now the band has a hit song, the elusive hit song. Is it as big as Enter Sandman? No, but it's our version of it. It's the song that most people know.
Yep.
And now you've got something. And I never realized how important rock radio is still until you start getting played on rock radio. And that's not because of wrestling. That's because of good music. And so now you've got a lot of people that just want to hear the tunes and love the band for the band. And that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
If you like wrestling and Jericho too, or don't, that's fine as well.
Yeah. I do want to check in before we get you out of here with young Jericho in that garage. Girls are passing him by. He gets a glimpse of Jericho today. What's he geeking out most about? Is it all of these championship belts and headlining like all these amazing wrestling events? Or is it like touring with Iron Maiden and doing this? Or is it a little of both?
I think if I could whittle it down to one thing, it's that I was a kid that had a dream, actually 2 dreams, both of them seemingly impossible. How do you achieve this? And here we are, 35 plus years later, and I've gotten the chance to do them both at the highest of level or high level, and just get a chance to make people happy by doing something that I always wanted to do and getting to travel the world and doing it. I know that sounds a little cheesy, but it really is true. Like, how many people had a dream, accomplish it, and get to travel and still do it decades later? That's something that I take very seriously too. Like, I go out of my way now to think of cool projects and cool things to keep the people that appreciate my work happy. And if they want to live vicariously through this stuff, then it's my responsibility to give them cool things to live vicariously through and give them some happiness and some hope, maybe if they're not having a great day. That's kind of the thing I would geek out the most to. And opening for Iron Maiden.
Yeah. And Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
Well said. Before I get you out here, I do want to ask about this because I love this show. Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, it's on Vice.
Yes.
And it's like a docu-series that kind of like reenacts the craziest stories of wrestling. And I'm on the edge of my seat. Like, the wrestling biz is wild.
Yeah.
And I love that we're getting a peek now. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about creating the show. And
it's funny because talking with the producers that created the show, they said one of the worst things that ever happened was calling it Dark Side of the Ring, because it's not all dark. It's a lot of like, it's rock and roll in the 80s.
Yeah.
There are some dark things, but it's just more of like personality profiles in depth about some of the greatest characters that ever stepped into the wrestling ring, along with some dark things and some happy things. But it really is a great look into this world. And that's why they were able to do it with another show called Into the Void about heavy metal, and they've done it with the dark side of comedy and the dark side of the NFL or whatever. Like, there's so many stories that you can tell from wrestling because it's such a crazy business.
Yeah,
it's like neither fish nor fowl.
Yeah,
it's not real, but it's not fake. It's all things to all people, but it's this. Wrestling is so many things that there really is no other form of entertainment like it. And I think this is kind of cool to be able to peel back some of those layers so people can see the real stories.
Here's how I know wrestling is a crazy business. Sometimes I go out in public, I'm walking, people are like, whoa, my God, there's a Goblin.
Yeah.
I did a cool thing at TNA. I was backstage walking, big wrestler, giant, hulking human, had his head down. I'm walking, Goblin down the hallway, crossing him. He looks up at me and just goes, hey, Goblin.
Yeah.
And just keeps walking.
Yes.
He was so unfazed.
Yes.
Like, not an ounce of him was even like, why is there a Goblin backstage?
That's wrestling.
Yeah.
I remember when I first went back to New Japan in 2018 and I worked with Kenny Omega. And I watched the match back and it was a great match, but I was like, I just didn't find what I was wearing fit this kind of more of a maniacal, crazy character that I was playing. And I thought, okay, I'm going to change the vibe of this to, what if a serial killer got into wrestling? What would he look like? And I had, I put some kind of this Alice Cooper-esque type makeup on, and this lipstick that kind of went down. And I was like, I'll be the Painmaker, and I'll put on a fedora, and I'll just it's a little bit wackier, right? And I'm like, okay, the first time I put that stuff on, and I walked out of the dressing room, out of my dressing room into kind of the common area, and all the guys were there, and they're just like, hi, Chris. Yeah. It's like no one even said a word about wearing this makeup and all this new getup. It's just like, it's wrestling. Of course you're going to come dressed like a serial killer in the business called the Painmaker. Why wouldn't you? That, you just nailed it. There's nothing too wacky for pro wrestling.
Yeah.
It just fits.
And that's why I freaking love it.
Yeah.
It's just, it's where all us misfits could go and have a great time, and then people can sit in their seats and cheer and do it. It's like the only thing I feel like you humans have left that remind me of your Roman times and the Colosseum days, and where you get that many people in an arena cheering for storylines and characters.
Yeah. And also too, when I was a kid, I loved wrestling. I wanted to be a wrestler, and I was super into AWA, which was out of Minneapolis and Winnipeg, more serious wrestling. And then WWF came along, and then it started getting more campy. Dude, the day that I decided for sure that I wanted to be a wrestler, wasn't a match, wasn't a promo. It was Vince McMahon singing Stand Back at the 1987 Slammy Awards. And he comes out and he's singing Stand Back, and the whole company is playing instruments behind him. Like the Killer Bees are on the horns, and Hulk Hogan's on bass, and Junkyard Dog's on drums, and Randy Savage is on guitar. And I'm like, of course all these guys play instruments. It's like Happy Days. Of course Richie and Potsy and Ralph have a band. Every cool guy has a band. I was like,
dude.
This is the epitome of why I love wrestling. When the boss can sing and the whole company is playing instruments behind him, I want to do that. That's it.
I want to do that too,
Yeah.
man. We got to start this company.
Fozzacon.
Fozzacon, baby. All right. Mr. Chris Jericho, I'm going to get you out of here the same way I get everybody out of here.
Okay.
By playing my right now rapid fire questionnaire.
Oh, wow.
Here's how it's going to work.
Okay.
Chris, I'm going to ask you 5 rapid fire questions. I want you to say the very first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Left or right?
Right.
Westmoreland.
Makeup and costume.
See. Favorite genre of metal?
Heavy.
Okay, yeah, of course. Fozzy. Okay, now there's a snail chasing you. The snail is moving at a snail's pace. It's gonna follow you for the rest of your life. You can move as fast as slow as you want, but if you touch the snail or it touches you, you die. But before you ask, yes, it can survive in any atmosphere and swim. What's your plan to survive the snail?
I guess just keep moving. Keep stepping.
Just keep stepping, man.
Yeah, and when I go to sleep, I make sure that I sleep in an enclosed area where the snail can't get in. Can he climb glass?
Well, according to Riddle, it says it's always moving in your direction.
Okay, but what if I have to stop at some point to sleep?
Right.
So can I sleep in an enclosed area where the snail's looking at me, but it can't get me?
I got it.
What?
Sleep in a wrestling ring. That thing ain't gonna figure out how to get in there.
Call back.
Yes.
Unless he has a stunt double, the snail double.
Nicole Kidman, take one for the team, Nicole Stunt Double.
Nicole Snailman has it all figured out.
You ever been to Trader Joe's?
Well, it's a grocery store, right?
Thank you so much, Chris Jericho. Everybody, round of applause. Round of applause. applause. And now, Chris, you can promote whatever you want to this
man.
camera right here, my dude.
I'm promoting the John Goblikon podcast and just how excited I am to be here.
Yes!
And watch John on Talk is Jericho. That's a good one. Available on YouTube. Chris Jericho Fozzy.
Speaking of views and streams, that one's racking up.
It did great numbers.
People like this, man.
Yeah.
They like this.
We found out, because you go through the demographics, we found out there was a lot of views from Goblin Town.
Really? And other creatures check it out? Or ogres?
There's some ogres, minotaurs. A lot of minotaurs really enjoyed it.
Minotaurs love me. That's kind of like my demo now.
Yeah, those are your homies.
Yeah, they're just like they're like the human side of them, or like I like it, and honestly, the horse side's like I fuck with it too. You know,
I think the bull side. They have bulls, I think. Are
those bulls?
The centaurs is what you're thinking.
Oh, what do you say?
Centaurs aren't as great. I'm saying minotaurs.
Oh,
Minotaurs are half man, half bulls. Centaurs are half men, half horses.
Gotcha.
They're not as into the podcasting realm. They still like ska and reggae and that sort of thing.
That makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm full
so
of
check
BS.
out the show.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Chris? I thought since you're so good at promos, I actually wrote a promo for me.
All right.
In your voice under your chair.
Okay.
So if you want to kind of like,
I feel like I'm on Oprah. Did I win a new car?
You won whatever you won promoting my Cameo account. I don't know if that's
on the floor.
There it is.
Oh, I was actually ripping off the upholstery of the chair. Johannes dumped the camera. All right. Am we good?
Yep.
Do you have to wait? Okay. Hey, Gob Squad. It is I, Y2J, the Ayatollah of Rock and Rolla, Lionheart, the highlight of the night, the living legend, the learning tree, the Nueve, Mr. Canada, Jeritron 6000, the man of 1,004 holds, the demo god, the wizard, the painmaker, and also the man of too many fucking nicknames. Chris Jericho. If you like metal of the heaviest kind, you're in luck. John's band Nekrogoblikon is about to wrap up their Show Me Your Goblin tour. So make sure you don't miss their final shows, because they are amazing. I haven't seen them, but I've heard they're amazing.
We'll be touring together soon, pal.
There you go. If you like comedy, however, you're also in luck, because there are 2 upcoming live recordings of this podcast, not with me, but with other fine guests. April 18th for the Moon Tower Comedy Festival. Moon Tower Comedy Festival. That sounds great, though, a moon tower.
Yeah, isn't that kind of cool?
I feel that you used to live in a moon tower.
That's like kind of groovy,
It
like
is.
psychedelic rock.
It's very cool. And May 7th in LA for Netflix is a joke. This is huge. That's going to be amazing.
Thank you, Chris.
I'd like to go see that. Both will have incredible special guests, and both will sell out. Trust me. There is a mob of fans outside waiting to meet this man.
Yeah.
So if you want to go, get your tickets now. Not later, now. Final question. Do you also like wrestling? This guy's doing everything. John wrestles with his past, present, and future as he hits the stage to tell his life story. In the first ever One Gob show on April 16th at the Creek and the Cave in Austin, Texas. I was just in Austin. That's one of the most wonderful cities in the world.
Isn't it?
Go check that out. Do me a favor. Don't wait. Get those tickets right now. Don't you dare miss it.
Come on. Don't be a mark. Clap. Did I do it right?
That was amazing.
And you know what, Chris? There was an angry mob outside. And I feel like some are there for me, some are there for you.
I don't think they were angry. They were like holding up their autographs they wanted signed and that sort of thing. Pictures they wanted signed.
Oh, okay. Well, then let's give the
A
people
couple of
what
them
they
had
want.
torches, to be fair.
Do you need a stunt double for that?
Oh.
Johannes.
Get the green paint, sir.
And then come back and put a wig on and go for me just in case.
All right, Johannes. Thank you, Joe.